familiarities. Some of the posters will come out because they are the XPS. Karibu Sana, we will be splitting the groups so everyone gets to understand how the process is, right? Because we're a very big group today. So we have got about 4 or 5 quality inspectors who will take you all around the tour. We'll come back over here again and then we'll talk about Revital Healthcare, where it started off, where it is right now, and what is our future plans. Any questions? We are good? So.
Sini sirin. Nin.
Planja. Telemel planja.
Hah?
Telemel planja. So this is like an injection mold machine which uses material, and then using heat, water, a lot of heat. Each machine has a mold. So we have different machines, the plunger, the barrel, the gasket. The mold is to make it hapo katikati. Hiyo yenye na tokea. So yenye plunger. Yeah, that is great. Every time ukitoa na ile ya huko kando. Ndio waneka kando. Then hiyo itaenda dry. The material is for nichote pale kidogo hapo. Material ni kama kidogo tu kwa mkono. Hata nyingi sana. Material yenyewe unaona ni kama pellets. Yeah. Okay. So hiyo yenye ni waste inaenda go grinding. Inarudi hivi. Alafu inaendelea. So we basically don't have that waste.
But this is also being done there.
It's a 50 machine. So we're gonna machine different gauges. We have 2 ml, 1 ml, 3 ml, 5 ml. That's why we have so many machines. Alafu we have barrels, we have gaskets, we have caps.
twende.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ronik Vora. I'm the director of Revital Healthcare, specifically handling sales, marketing, and several other departments as well. Today, I want to welcome you all to Revital Healthcare, which is the largest manufacturer on the continent of Africa, where we're producing over 1.5 billion medical devices, currently exporting to now over 50 countries around the world, so about 22 countries in Africa. The rest of the products are going outside of the continent of Africa. So essentially, this company, the small company in Kilifi County, has rewritten the history books of Africa by being the first manufacturer on the continent to send syringes and other products outside of the continent. Not only supporting Kenya, not only supporting regional countries around me, but now we're supporting countries outside. We're now sending syringes from Kilifi County to Afghanistan, to Yemen, to Sri Lanka, to Nepal, to India, to Pakistan, and several other countries as well, which we have done previously as well. We currently employ about 750 people in Revital. 80% of our entire workforce comprises of women, and 99.9% of the workforce is Kenyan. So we're all proud Kenyans. In fact, I'm a third generation Kenyan myself, and a very proud one too. As a local manufacturer, I've seen in the recent times a lot of support has come in for local manufacturers to excel and move forward. So this all happened, of course, at the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, when the pandemic hit Africa, and specifically Kenya, which was around March 2020. That's when the pandemic came into Kenya. At that time, we were frantically running around looking for products which are not currently locally manufactured in Kenya or Africa as a continent. So essential products like gloves, specified syringes, vaccines, PPE kits, surgical face masks, a lot of these products are being imported into Africa every single day, every single week, every single month until COVID was there. And it is still there, COVID. In fact, we have now something called Mpox, which I'm going to be touching on in the near time, in the next few minutes. But just to backtrack a bit, I want to mention Revital has been the cutting edge company on the continent of Africa, because any pandemic, for example, COVID came in, as a team we sat down, we innovated our own products. We became the first manufacturer on the continent to come up with viral transport mediums. We became the first manufacturer on the continent to come up with rapid antigen test kits to fight COVID-19 pandemic and to test for COVID-19 pandemic. We became the first manufacturer on the continent, and this is of course to the support of the Gates Foundation, where they gave us a grant for $4 million. This $4 million has helped equip Africa to capacitate half of its needs when it comes to routine immunization now. So we're proud to announce that the small company in Kenya called Revital Healthcare is now producing over 300 million pieces of the 0.5 ml vaccine syringe, which is not only supplied in Africa, but is even sent outside of the world. So syringes is not only a portfolio, but we're even looking at diagnostic test kits as well, because how many of us can afford to go to the nearest facility and test on a day-to-day basis? Kama mimi niko na malaria, right? I will have to go to the nearest facility, waste about half a day to get tested for malaria. How many of us can afford to waste half a day from our work or our daily jobs? The main problem happens right now is that 8 out of 10 people who think they are infected by malaria end up going to the nearest pharmacy just kununua dawa na wakula. But they don't know if they have malaria or not, because they don't have the time to go test. So that is why Revital Healthcare, at the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, came up with a rapid diagnostic test kits factory. With the support of USAID, just this year in May 8th, we launched Africa's largest rapid diagnostic test kits facility right here in Kilifi County. We're now proud to produce over 20 million rapid test kits per month. So over 240 million rapid test kits per year will be produced right here in Kilifi County and sent around the world. So we're currently the largest manufacturer when it comes to diagnostic test kits. So we're producing currently HIV, malaria, hepatitis, pregnancy. We're going into dengue, syphilis, and now we're going into Mpox. Mpox was recently, just this week, launched as a WHO outcry around the world. And what we do as a team always, we sit down and we see what is this pandemic which has come and what products can we innovate as a local manufacturer to support not only Kenya, but to support the world. So very soon, and I mean by very soon, Revital will be launching its very own rapid test kit antigen for Mpox. Now, one of the key things since the introduction of this factory, which was in 2008, is affordability, but high quality. We're heavily certified when it comes to certifications. We've got 8 WHO PQS certifications on our syringes. We've got US FDA, we've got CE, we've got ISO. We've now got MD-SAP. MD-SAP covers 5 countries around the world. We're the only manufacturer on the continent of Africa to achieve a regulatory approval from MD-SAP, which is a very notable achievement for us and for our country as well. So we're not only about quality, but we're about affordability. Our products are being sold in the market at highly affordable prices, and that ensures that maximum amount of people are being treated or diagnosed or vaccinated or any of that matter. So when we started this industry, we started with only 60 people. Today we have 750 people. When we started this industry, we were only manufacturing one medical device, which was a 2 and 5 ml syringe. Today we are producing over 300 medical devices. So in a span of 15 years, this is what Revital has done. The next 15 years is going to be very promising for Kenya, very promising for Africa, because what we're seeing around the world is a downward shift in local manufacturing in the continent of Africa. The recent introductions of embargoes from Chinese products into the US has attracted a lot of investors from the US to start focusing on spreading their investments and manufacturing, which was previously done on the continent of Asia, now into the next best continent, which is Africa. Because we have the capacity, we have the young generation that we see over here, we have the necessary supports that we're coming to see in as local manufacturers. The only thing that we need is a combination of efforts from all governments of this continent to unite together so that we ensure that there is never a chance ever that if the next pandemic comes, we're not running around looking for products. We have capacities in our own continent and predominantly in our own country as well. India, at the time of COVID-19, they banned exports of their vaccines. Countries in Asia banned exports of essential materials used for surgical face masks. Before COVID, I was buying a surgical face mask material, which is called a BFE filter, for $2 per kilo. At the time of COVID, you know what I was charged at? $110 per kilo. $2 before COVID, $110 after COVID, or during the time of COVID. This shows unfair, and this shows inequality. So I'm proud now that Africa as a continent, we are thinking much ahead. There are vaccine factories coming up. There is in fact the first gloves manufactured in Uganda. So we are slowly equipping ourselves, but we need to unite together to equip ourselves faster and better.
Last question. Are you seeing expand challenge?
That is what we're currently working on right now. We're working with several countries on the African continent where we can possibly open up satellite industries. So that they can open up regional factories around Africa. I mean, we're not saying open up a factory in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, because Kenya and Tanzania is less than 12 hours transport. I can produce goods from here and send to Ethiopia in less than 48 hours. I can produce goods and send to Tanzania, Uganda, Somalia, all these other countries regionally within the next 24 to 48 hours, which is the current case right now. If you talk about a distributor of mine in Ethiopia, and with the portfolio of products that I manufacture, it makes sense for the distributor to buy from me because this distributor is getting an access to a whole major portfolio of products. Ukienda kununua sindano huko China, utanunua container moja ya sindano, then utanunua container moja ya IV cannula, utaenda kununua container moja ya diagnostics. So you have to go fishing to so many manufacturers over there just to get your products. With us, you get everything in one container. And in less than 48 hours, you get your products. With the capacities of 1.5 billion medical devices annually, we can ensure that there is never stockouts on the African continent.
How come you're exporting these devices? How come you're exporting and the country importing?
So that is what we are working right now with the government as well, to ensure that maximum support has been done to local manufacturers. And it is the case. The recent awards that we have been received from KEMSA support local manufacturers, not only me, but several other manufacturers in Nairobi as well, which do pharmaceutical manufacturing. So it's a slow process, of course, because it's a big change, I would say. It's the first time after COVID-19 is when we're thinking about local manufacturing. Before COVID-19, we never thought. We never ever thought, here's a surgical face mask ambayo unawa. Never done over here. It was all imported outside, but only until after COVID-19, we're able to buy these surgical face masks at affordable prices.
Maybe apart from medical equipment, do you think
So, as I said, our investments, and not only ours, but the continent's investments should be diversified. There's already a number of players doing vaccine manufacturing. In fact, Kenya has its own vaccine manufacturing coming up as well. Uganda, Tanzania, countries in Nigeria, West Africa, they're all coming up with vaccine manufacturing. So there's no need for me to focus on vaccine. Let me focus on my core business, which is medical devices, diagnostics. Now we're introduced lab care items as well, because things like Petri dish, pipette tips are all being imported from India and China. Why? We are here as a local manufacturer. We can support regionally as well. There are many. So a lot of it is in Asia and Europe, outside of Kenya. The domestic market is very supportive, mainly because of my prices. My prices are competitive, but at the end of the day, you know, when you look at cost factors in China and India, they have the manufacturing prowess to manufacture at affordable prices. For us, there are certain challenges that restrict us to able to not only mitigate these problems, but at least try and compete with these products. So that's why when it comes to affordability, we're highly affordable. If you're able to send products outside of Africa, that means we're affordable. I'm absolutely vouching for this idea of Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, because the more local manufacturers you have. I, as an industry, employ 750 people. I'm one industry in the region of Kenya. Imagine if similar industries like this come up in Kenya, you can see a lot of the working population diverted into manufacturing practices. And in industries like this, you get a lot of training, a lot of extra training that you had never learned. Like people learn softwares, people in the lab learn equipments that they've never learned, and then they get poached in other countries, in other companies within Kenya or outside of Kenya, because they've learned the machines, the equipments, the tools. They've gotten the knowledge from the experts as well, and they've passed it. They got this knowledge and they've transitioned to move forward in their lives, which is a blessing for us. Of course, it has to go through validations, testing procedures. We have to pass it through all the regulatory bodies. So we will work to see how fast we can do it, but our aim is to do it very fast. We don't want to wait for tomorrow, we want to do it today. So we will work with all the regulatory bodies. We will even try and work with the government of Kenya to ensure that Kenya is the first manufacturer in the continent of Africa to introduce rapid antigen test kits for Mpox. That's what we want to ensure.
As the Kenya Editors Guild, because we are also trying, it's part of the series, what we call the Thought Leadership Series, where we've been partnering with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who are the main sponsors or the main funders, some of the funders of this project. So we're trying to come out and find out what is it that they're doing in Africa and how they're changing the landscape, how they're investing in us, especially in 3 areas. In agriculture, in medical areas. We had the first thought series, which was on cervical cancer, we held in Nairobi. We did one on agriculture, and now this is the actual visit to where they have invested money and promoting Africa in terms of manufacturing, and also trying to tell the Africans so that there is capacity here. As journalists, we grapple with the fact that all the time we're talking about importation. Now we are building home capacities. And as journalists, we are going to what we call a niche kind of reportage, that we have capacity in Africa to do our things. And most importantly for us in Kenya, that we are doing it at home. We are now rewriting the story, that the African story is changing. It's not just we have to get products from outside, but for the media, this is a big stories, how this investment is also impacting when we are talking about the shift in terms of audience. How is it changing lives? How is it doing everything to everybody? So this is important, and that's where we are partnering with them to build capacity in terms of reporting, niche reporting, and also involving ourselves in conversations. So this is part of what we've been doing as the Kenya Editors Guild in partnership with other people, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, to make sure that we tell the stories the way they are done locally. Thank you.
I work at Revital Healthcare. I've been working here since 2021, and I'm in the quality assurance department. Yeah.
How do you ensure quality that meets international market standards?
Whatever we manufacture in Revital, we follow the regulatory standards like the ISO standards and the WHO PQS, and we make sure that whatever we are manufacturing here is according to what the standard requires. So in my department, mostly, we are in charge of the regulatory side, that the standards that are updated, the current standards that are used to manufacture medical devices, we are in connection with them, we are in relation with them, whatever. So whatever we have does not go outside the ISO standards. Yeah, because the medical devices are really sensitive to the human.
Therefore, you have made a record of product that didn't meet standard in the market?
No, no. All our products, before we export our products, before even they reach the finished products area, they undergo a lot of inspections. We have the quality control teams in every site, in every sector, that they make sure the components that we manufacture, the assembly parts, the printing part, it is in line with what the standard requires. So by the time we get to the finished product area, the product is exactly what it's supposed to be. Sorry? We import the raw materials. We import it. To manufacture syringes, we import. We have HDPE for the plungers. We have PP for the barrels, and so many different materials for different components. So we import them, and we always have them available. There's no day we've ever run out of material. We always make sure we have the materials available for any product, any component that is needed. Yeah. After the syringe has been manufactured, it undergoes a sterilization process, which takes like 10 hours for sterilization. After sterilization, when we produce a particular lot, for example, one particular lot has 160 cartons, yes? So after the whole batch is manufactured, we produce extra 200 pieces as samples that are used for chemical testing and microbiological testing. So the 14 days quarantine, mostly, it is the time for the chemical test and the microbiological test. As we know, sterility takes 14 days. You test a sample today, the incubation period takes 14 days. So hence the quarantine part, yes? We after the sterility testing, the chemical testing, and we approve that the product is well sterilized and it doesn't have any chemical residue, then now we can release the goods. So it moves to the finished goods area. Yeah, that's the quarantine part.
You mentioned you are importing materials that used to make these products. Does it mean we don't have supply locally, or they don't meet standards that you're looking at?
Every material that we import, it undergoes chemical tests. Every material has its, how do I put it? It has to pass the chemical testing part so that whatever we manufacture doesn't have any defaults. It is not deformed by any way. So whether we import it or we get it locally, if it doesn't fit to what we want, we can't proceed with it.
The question is, as a country, do you have capacity to produce the raw materials?
No.
No.
That's what I wanted to
Oh, no, we don't.
The continent even does.
So you can repeat that. As a gap that you are seeing in the production process.
Okay. As a gap that you're seeing in production process is that Kenya is a country doesn't have the capacity to manufacture, or rather to produce the raw materials. So we really have to import them from outside Kenya, and then we get to use them. So I think that's the only thing that Kenya as a country needs to upgrade and needs to implement that. Tabitha Musyoka.
Ule mlango karibu unafunga. Karibu ile mlango ndio ile mlango itafunga.
Wakipanga the hapa wanakaa wanaleta kitu. Afterwards tunaamini hii visual visual. Sisi tukifika hapo kama ni kuna hera kwa the top ndio sawa. Kama ndio sawa, report of things inaingia ndani. Kama ndio sawa, tunamove naweka kwa nini na collect tunakuja hapa na kwa hivyo report.
We import import the raw materials. We import it. To manufacture syringes, we import. We have HDPE for the plungers. We have PP for the barrels, and so many different materials for different components. So we import them, and we always have them available. There's no day we've ever run out of material. We always make sure we have the materials available for any product, any component that is needed. Yeah. After the syringe has been manufactured, it undergoes a sterilization process, which takes like 10 hours for sterilization. After sterilization, when we produce a particular lot, for example, one particular lot has 160 cartons, yes? So after the whole batch is manufactured, we produce extra 200 pieces as samples that are used for chemical testing and microbiological testing. So the 14 days quarantine, mostly, it is the time for the chemical test and the microbiological test. As we know, sterility takes 14 days. You test a sample today, the incubation period takes 14 days. So hence the quarantine part, yes? After the sterility testing, the chemical testing, and we approve that the product is well sterilized and it doesn't have any chemical residue, then now we can release the goods. So it moves to the finished goods area. Yeah, that's the quarantine part.
You mentioned you are importing materials to make these products. Does it mean we don't have supply locally, or they don't meet standards that you're looking at?
Every material that we import, it undergoes chemical tests. Every material has its, how do I put it? It has to pass the chemical testing part so that whatever we manufacture doesn't have any defaults. It is not deformed by any way. So whether we import it or we get it locally, if it doesn't fit to what we want, we can't proceed with it.
The question is, as a country, do you have capacity to produce the raw materials?
No.
No.
Never wanted to.
Oh, no, we don't.
The continent beyond that.
So you can repeat that. As a gap that you are seeing in the production process.
Okay. As a gap that you're seeing in production process is that Kenya is a country doesn't have the capacity to manufacture or rather to produce the raw materials. So we really have to import them from outside Kenya and then we get to use them. So I think that's the only thing that Kenya as a country needs to upgrade and needs to implement that. Tabitha Musyoka. Microbiological and chemical testing. Sasa hizo huyu ana test microbiological, ana test the sterility, manake ime undergo sterilization, supposed to be 100% sterile. So ana test for sterility. Yeah, this is the microbiology lab.
From that side, sir. It will be best from there.
Thank you.
Inaanza kama plain paper, alafu inaprintiwa drop size, alafu inakanishwa na syringe, and then it is sealed, then cut. The packaging we have women on the other side, wanaweka kwa inner boxes and then outer boxes. Alafu wanaenda sterilization.
This one is end.
Yeah, after packaging, it goes to sterilization, quarantine, everything. It is an advanced version of AD. An advanced version of AD. Okay. You know, you can't do the same kama the kianja, barrel,